Hey everyone, it's Kai from WCC. Today we're going to look at the last clan from Mysterious Fortune, and that is Neo Nectars. Now, Neo Nectars used to be a great deck, one of the top 3 when it was released in Ultra Rare, and one of the big contenders for World, and it was around for a while, so what has it got now that makes it good? So I'll go into my build of Neo Nectars first. I'll talk about why we have these cards. Then we'll talk about how this kind of build came to be and why it's built this way, and then talk about Neo Nectar's place in the current Excel Fight Vanguard metagame. So first new card is Arboros Dragon Sephiroth. Now this card is pretty good, lots of hype when it just came out, and makes 10k tokens. That was basically it. So what it does is the Plantate tokens you call are now 10k with 10k shield, and they have boost and intercept. Just a heads up, you can't intercept from the back row. You still have to put them at front and intercept from the front. So make sure they're at the front. Second effect is you can works on the rear guard. You can retire a rear guard, call up to 2 plant tokens to rear guard, and if you have 5 or more rear guards, this unit gets 10k. So makes some nice power. It becomes 23, and then just kind of fills it up for you. You can retire itself as well if you really don't like this card, but you won't get the 10k. Next card is Cecilia. We are still playing Cecilia. Why? Because Cecilia is good. Cecilia makes numbers, and they make you a free field. And that is all good. That is all good. I love Cecilia. She looks really nice too. And unfortunately, Neo Nectar doesn't really have a good grade 3. Apart from, like, Cecilia was just so good before that she is still good now. And nothing really can replace her. She's your ideal second ride, and you're just going to sit on her for the rest of the game. That's it. I won't explain the effect because I think we all know it by now. She's a Musketeer, so you can call her early as well. Last grade 3 slot, this is a pure flex slot, is a new card. This is Peony Musketeer Martina. Now, her Vanguard effect is pretty unspectacular. Soul Blast 1 and retire a rear guard. Look up the top 5 cards of your deck, call one from among them, and then shuffle your deck. And then during this turn that it is called from this deck, this is on a rear guard, it gets 5k in a crit. So definitely this is a pure flex slot. You can play anything you want here. First effect is reminiscent of old Vanguard. Not very spectacular, not very good. At least you get a force marker. And then the second effect is basically why you're playing her. She randomly comes into the board, you get 5k, and you get a crit. So if you randomly call her early, suddenly you have put on a lot of pressure. Your opponent has to guard that early with whatever in their hand, and it sets you up for a kill turn earlier later on. Every time they have to guard early, it means they have less cards to play, and it kind of snowballs from there. And then if you just call her off with Cecilia, easy. So you get a 5k. The crit is kind of irrelevant then when you're on your second Cecilia turn, but if you're on your first Cecilia, then that is kind of okay. The crit, your opponent will usually be at low damage, so they'll be forced to guard this too. And if they're at 3 with a force 2, you still have to, they definitely have to guard this very, very lethal column. Next card is also a flex slot. It is Kaivan. I'm using Kaivan to push. It's similar to Martina in that if you randomly call him from one of your effects, he can randomly get power and just kind of fudge up your opponent's guard predictions. If you call this guy early, if you get him early and you call him, you also get to create easy columns, so you can push earlier and not get screwed over by your opponent getting damage triggers. The next card is another new card, Peony Musketeer Torre. So Vanguard and Rearguard effect. When placed, you may counterblast 1 and retire a Rearguard. Look at the top 3 cards from the top of your deck. Call 2 of them with a Musketeer in their card names, or any 1 card from among them to Rearguard circle, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So don't shuffle with this card. Martina shuffled. This doesn't. This card I'm only running 2 of. You can probably just replace Kaivan with another copy of this if you really like this effect. Technically, she only pluses you 1 if you call 2 Musketeers, and if you don't, like, even if you don't, okay, you can usually get a plus from this as well. If you retire one of your tokens, then you call Merca or a Sylvia or an Arboros Dragon, then you've gotten kind of a +1 as well, and that's kind of makes a nice L formation, 10-10, and then a 15 column on the side, and that's usually all good. The reason why I'm not running more of this is that she technically still isn't a +1, and you do need to counterblast 1 for effect. You also have so many cards that already make things. It's like an Arboros Dragon will make a plant token, a Sylvia will make a plant token, a Merca will make a plant token. You don't really need that much call. Kind of want a bit more power, so that's why I put the Hyvant there. Next new card is Arboros Dragon Timber. Now, this card, Vanguard Circle, when placed, the next plant token you call this turn is called as one of your boosted 10k tokens, and it has boosted intercept. Doesn't call anything when you play it on Vanguard, but make sure next call a stronger token. And then when placed on the rear guard, you may just call a plant token to your rear guard circle. So similar to a Sylvia effect. If you have the choice between a Sylvia and a Timber to ride, I will technically just always ride the Timber. And then my Sylvia calls that 10k token, gives you more flexibility, makes you 3 front row columns of 10k, or you can have 1 column hitting 20k, which is hits numbers most of the time. And then your Arboros Dragon, Vanguard, they already have to put down a 15 for a no guard. So that is usually good enough. Of course, if you ride a Sylvia, you can call the Arboros Dragon and you have like an L formation with 10-10s. You can make a 15 and a 15, but that usually gets screwed over by damage triggers. So rather just call the 10k, and that 10k token can be used as intercept as well. Last grade 2 card we have is our old buddy Sylvia. She makes a plant token, so still good. Onto our grade 1s, we have our grade 1 Arboros Dragon Branch. Vanguard or Rearguard effect when its attack or the attack it boosted hits, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and if you do, reveal up to 1 card with Arboros in its card name from among them and put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So once again, doesn't shuffle, so don't shuffle. It's there because it fills the Arboros Dragon engine. It's not really a required card. It'll help you just get more Arboros Dragons in the future that you can just use as extra card advantage. If it doesn't hit, don't feel bad. Worst, it's a 10k intercept. And look, you can just retire it for one of your filter effects and not feel bad. Unless you're really, really good at Vanguard, you won't hit every time, so don't feel bad when you miss. But if you do, then yeah, extra card. You don't really have much other things to play anyway, so you might as well. You already can just pump up your fruits basket, put in Fruit Basket Elf, or pump up Rebecca if you want and just place it. That's fine. But I kind of found just getting more Arboros Dragons kind of good. Get it early. If you ride it, get it early. Your opponent has to guard, or you get an on hit, and helps you just get your grade 2 and grade 3 line going, so you can always kind of get your first ride of Arboros Dragon grade 3. Go into that a bit later. Next grade 1 card is Merca. She's still here because she's good. She makes something and things in front of her get big. And then we also run Rebecca. Rebecca is from before too. Helps you make your lines hit numbers. And now that Soul Blast 1 retire a token effect, you can use it more often because you just have so many things that create tokens. So you'll never really have a situation where you won't have a token to retire. And yeah, that grade 1 rush to give a grade 1 or less card 5k, very, very relevant early on. And lastly, we are running an Arboros Musketeer guest turn. So found this card is actually pretty decent. If you just draw it, then it's just a vanilla, just throw it away, call it to boost, and then just get rid of it. But when you call it from an effect, suddenly it's hitting 18k, makes your opponent's guards a bit weird. Normally Neo Nectar lines are very, very predictable because they just hit around that 38, 28 if you're running Force 2 kind of thing. Suddenly this card comes out plus 10k, they're forced to guard a lot more. They need to use their null guards early, and it really throws them out of whack. It makes them have to commit earlier to kill you, or otherwise they're dead. So running 3 of it, if you get 1 off in a game, that is already good enough in my opinion. And then lastly, we're just running Arboros Dragon Starter, and then 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. Very standard trigger lineup. So how did this deck come to be? So like, at the beginning, you have 2 ways to build this deck. Is you could just build it Arboros Dragon style, or you can run it Musketeer style. Now, one big problem with Arboros Dragon is that although it creates 10k tokens, they are still just 10k tokens. This isn't premium, where your 10k tokens suddenly get 15k for free, and then just bash and create new cards when your Vanguard attacks. No. These are just 10k tokens. If you get 2 10k tokens on a column, they become 20k. So That's not hitting anything. That is actually just not hitting anything. The other thing about the Arboros Dragon build is you have to run... You ideally run Fruits Assort Dragon because it gets power from all your tokens. It makes this one column, or it makes 2 columns in really big, and then you can play Force 2 and then kind of get crits. Or if you want to run Force 1 for really, really big numbers, but I wouldn't recommend it because that doesn't do anything. You can do that too, but you're running this really bad grade 3 when you have to ride it. So if you want to re-ride to make more markers, at the same time you don't, because you don't really want to ride that card. So it creates a situation when you only have one good grade 3, and that one good grade 3 is not good enough. Sure, you can make tokens every turn and get 10k, and that's it. But then you're not compressing your deck like Cecilia does. Cecilia makes free cards, and it compresses your deck and gives power. So why would you play a card that only does 2 of that as your grade 3 and then run a bad grade 3 at the same time? With the Musketeers, it is kind of a similar story. You have a really good grade 3, which is Cecilia, and then you have this really jank grade 3 that is Martina. I mean, she looks nice, but that's about it. It's just such a lackluster Vanguard effect. You just never want to ride that card. So you can run your old cards like your Tomatoes, but why would you run that when you can just run Arboros Dragon? Arboros Dragon is actually a decent first grade 3 ride as long as you get out of that ride as soon as possible. So instead of just running Tomatoes, just run your Arboros Dragon, and at the same time, you might as well run your Arboros Dragon engine, because without the Arboros Dragon grade 2, your Musketeer line is hitting pretty weak. Okay, sure you have Kaivans, sure you can randomly call your Martinez from Torres, and sure you have a Gaston to help you randomly get power, but that is not confirmed. So at some point in time, you'll be creating a bunch of columns that are just 10k, 10k, 10ks to guard, and then once they get a trigger, your game just stops, right? So if you get something like an Arboros Dragon, you can still make those 15 columns very easily, but you can also make boosted tokens that can that can make you hit those numbers. And then if you're running just pure Musketeers, right, you hit a Kaivan, but the amount of token generators you have that are Musketeers are similar to the first round of support that Neo Nectar got. So it'll be just Sylvia and Merca. So it's not like you can capitalize on a huge token line unless you're running the PR card that doubles your token, but then that's not a Musketeer. So why not just combine the two anyway, right? You're definitely running Arboros Dragon for your first grade 3 ride because it's just good compared to a Cecilia, but then after your first grade 3 ride, Cecilia is just better in every single way. And then you can run your grade 2 Arboros Dragon without feeling bad, and then you might as well just run grade 1 Arboros Dragon because it helps you get those 2s and 3s more consistently. And then with that, you have the advantage of not having a bad ride on your grade 3, unless you hit your one-off Martina, and that's just too bad. But sure, it's unfortunate if you first ride a Cecilia, but it's not the end of the world, alright? It still creates cards, so it's not as bad as you think. So that's one of the big advantages, is that you have no bad grade 3 rides at all. The other good thing about Neo Nectar nowadays is that you can just push earlier and push harder. Your things hit pretty big, and although you're not running Irminsul, your column still hits decent numbers. And yeah, that is one of the biggest strengths of Neo Nectar. The biggest weakness of Neo Nectar is that it is still an early 2019 force deck. You're only getting 3 attacks. You don't have Gladiolus, so you don't get multi-attacks. You don't get Blaster Darks that restand, and you don't get a 70k Astral Plane that just randomly attacks a 4. You are a very, very vanilla force clan. You're similar to, like, Neo Nectar's always gets compared to Royal Paladins, but nowadays Royal Paladin gets 3 Vanguard attacks, and you just get 2 normal attacks and 1 Vanguard. So you're playing old Vanguard, and although you got updates to up your power line, it is not enough in my opinion. Think of the power lines that Neo Nectar can make. They can make 30s, 40s. That's pretty good. With Force 1, you get 60s. Mura can hit those 60 columns, right, while getting more Excel circles. So on a Hyaki turn, they can hit massive. Pale Moon can kind of hit those numbers too if they trigger a front, but they also get their whole field for free. Similar to you, you also get most of your field for free, but they also get Excel circles. So you're kind of... Excel can do what you do, but they get more attacks. The only thing that you get is you get to run crits, and Mura gets to run crits, so it's not really a different like a specialty, yeah? Your grade 2 is definitely better than other Excels because you have 10k and you can pressure early, and now you have cards that just generate a full field without much difficulty. But after that, your game kind of just slow down very quickly unless you're able to get a crit early on and then just put on pressure. So personally speaking, I think Neo Nectar is not that great. I think it's got the weakest support out of all the clans in Mysterious Fortune, with the big winner going to Gold Paladin. Of course, you can still deal with this deck. You can still play with this deck and not feel bad. If you love Neo Nectar, against things like Murakumo, which board wipe you, you won't feel bad because you can just create a field pretty much out of nothing still. So, look, if you like if Neo Nectar's your thing, yeah, go for it. Stick with it. But it's definitely not on my top force picks right now. And going into Bermuda format, yeah, let's get real here. Bermuda is like the best force deck, and it probably will be the best force deck for a while. And it's already confirmed to be the best force deck, coming right up with that fun Riviere. So honestly, I think Neo Nectar should be pretty cheap right now, unless Premium's really messed up the prices. So if you want to go into Neo Nectar, go for it. Premium Neo Nectar is still good. If you buy this Neo Nectar, you'll have a good Premium deck already. So if you want to investigate Premium, go for it. Perfectly good investment. Otherwise, if it was me and I was to choose, do I want to buy Neo Nectar now? I'd get it if I like the art, but otherwise I'd probably give it a miss, especially with Bermuda coming. If you want to be very, very competitive and meta. Otherwise, there are other good forest clans out there, or you can just go into Excel. Excel's really good. So that's it from me. That is all from Mysterious Fortune. We'll be hopefully doing some other stuff in the next video, maybe some New Year's stuff. I don't know. Top 5 list, is that the new thing? So keep an eye out for that. But that's it for now. See you guys in the next video. Bye.